Ex-Con Media.
Welcome to the channel, man. People got a lot of opinions about this Maduro situation going on in Venezuela. So before I actually came out with a video, I wanted to do a little bit of research and try to educate the people and try to find out what's going on for myself so I can know, because and make a better informed video on this subject. Okay, found some interesting stuff. It is Thursday. It is the first Thursday of the year, man. Appreciate you tapping in. We did good for the majority. I say access of probably about 98% of 2025. We was able to get some videos going. So Thursday nights I will either be live or I will have a pre-recorded video because life be lifing. So if you want me to do this more often, man, you gotta like it up, hype it up, share it out, man. Get me seen, man. If not, hey, I'm gonna get seen eventually, man, with or without your help. It's just a matter of time. I'm gonna keep running my mouth. Y'all not gonna stop me. Nah, Nicolas Maduro. Now, before we get into this little education segment, let's revisit history. Okay, couple of presidents ago, guess who? You know who did you know what? And it was cool then, but all of a sudden people forget and it's not cool. Let's play the clip.
To Venezuela, where Maduro once again demonstrated his complete disregard for democratic norms and proceeded with his illegitimate inauguration. As President Biden emphasized during his meeting with President-elect Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia on Monday, January 6, we believe that it is essential that the will of the Venezuelan people is respected. In coordination with our partners, we've given Maduro and his representatives every opportunity to restore democracy.
Now, let me give you some history now. You got to follow me here. All right. I think the last president was Julio Cesar Chavez. Okay, so somewhere around that time in 2012, guess what they did? They disarmed the people, right? They made guns illegal across the country. You had to be basically in the clique in order to get a firearms permit, own a firearm. Other than that, I think it carries up to 20 years if you get caught with a firearm over there. Okay. Now, if you don't know what the Second Amendment in the United States is about, it's one of the key elements is to protect against a tyrannical government. The guys in Venezuela did not have any firearms. Maduro became tyrannical, took over the country. He lost the last election and refused to relinquish power. And guess what? The people could not do anything because they have been predominantly weaponless since 2012. Okay, but let's continue.
But they haven't. So today we are building on all of our previous actions and taking further major actions. We announced new sanctions on key Maduro-aligned officials as a part of our efforts to hold them accountable. We also increased the reward amount to $25 million for Nicolas Maduro and his so-called Minister of Interior as part of the Department of State's Narcotics Rewards Program.
Now, he had a warrant on him, okay? The warrant comes from the Biden administration. Biden, for whatever reason, auto pin, whatever you want to call him, did not go and get this man, even though they know where he at. They know how to slide in there and get him. Hell, Donald Trump showed you how it was done. Yet Biden refused to do it. And hey, leave it to the big dog if you want to get something done the correct way. But Donald Trump was basically enforcing a warrant that was already in place for Maduro. A lot of you think it's about gas. We'll continue getting that a little bit later. Hit that like, comment, and subscribe, man. Let's get it.
Only the second and third to have the largest amount allowed. It is important to note.
I think Democrats, bro, y'all need to go to the doctor because y'all got a strong case of amnesia. Now, what's going on, liberals? Now, the proof is right here. Now, y'all over here doing all this protesting, talking about woo-de-woo, free him. And we sitting here been trying to tell y'all the man is wanted. He been wanted since Joe and them been in office, but these niggas were some cowards and couldn't get the job done. So now what it's looking like to me is y'all only mad because y'all couldn't get the job done. Now that Trump got the job done, now y'all mad. Boy. The biggest hypocrites in American history are liberals and Democrats, bro. They was all for it. They the ones who put $25 million on his head. And now they out there protesting, talking about they upset and angry, talking about what Trump did is illegal and all that shit now.
Yes, I concur with that gentleman right there. We are a forgetful country. We forget what in the heck happened yesterday, much less a couple of years ago. Okay. Let's look at this. This is a nice piece of history. Hey, I was today years old when I found this out, but once I saw this video, I still did my research, and let's check this out. I'll break it down right after for the slow people that don't seem to get it.
Have you ever seen this map? Because if not, it's definitely time that you do. It's a map based off of the Monroe Doctrine that was introduced by President James Monroe in 1823. And basically, it says that the Western Hemisphere belongs to the Americas and that no foreign power should have any control over it. Back in the day, it was referring to Europe, but today it applies to China and Russia. That's why when Marco Rubio was being interviewed about why the United States captured Maduro and Venezuela, he said it had nothing to do with oil at all, but actually had to do with...
China need their oil. Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be a base of operation for adversaries, competitors, and rivals of the United States.
The Monroe Doctrine that President Trump has been referencing refers to the United States controlling the Western Hemisphere, which includes Greenland, Cuba, Colombia, Venezuela, which is why you've heard about us getting involved in those countries lately. It's about energy dominance. Oil, gas, lithium, rare earths in the Americas must not fall under hostile control. Financial power, making sure that the dollar system remains dominant in this hemisphere. Military exclusion, you just heard Marco Rubio saying this, no rival power gets permanent bases near U.S. territory, and information and tech control, telecom, satellites, AI, and surveillance matter as much as tanks. If a new world order is happening right now, many people believe it'll end up looking something like this. After all, yesterday, President Trump did say,
peace on earth.
Peace on earth. We gotta have peace. It's our hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine was very important when it was done, and other presidents, a lot of them, they lost sight of it. I didn't lose sight, but it really is, it's peace on earth.
Okay, so for the ones that don't understand, all right, let's go and let's get AI to give us the meaning and the definition of the Monroe Doctrine. She broke it down pretty good, but basically what she was saying, okay, basically what she is saying is what is going on North America, Central America, South America, and the islands that's close to that consist of the Western Hemisphere. There is no reason why we should be going to Iraq, Iran, whoever got the oil over there. Why are we shipping so much oil over there or getting oil from there when we have the biggest oil deposits in the world? Venezuela got the biggest in the world. So if we access that, based off the Monroe Doctrine, hey, that oil got less distance to travel. Listen, gas prices is expected once they get the infrastructure up and running down there in Venezuela. Gas prices are expected to go to a low. A lot of people don't remember, okay, when gas was 49 cents a gallon. Yes, I'm that old. That is the lowest I've ever seen it. I can remember it, but I definitely know it's some out there remember when gas was 80 cent, 90 cent, $1, which is where it's supposed to be at. Okay. And them accessing and taking control from Russia and China, okay, from Russia and China and taking control of it for the Americas, hey, that's a game changer. Okay, here's the Monroe Doctrine on AI. Let's get a little bit of education because I'm just now learning about this. So let's all get educated together, man. Hit the like button, hype it up, share it out, man. Let's educate one another because that's part of the problem is, we so ignorant. We don't want to do the research, man. Do some damn research. It's in the books. Look, it's so easy now with
The Monroe Doctrine was a cornerstone foreign policy statement issued by the United States in 1823. It effectively warned European powers that the Western Hemisphere, North and South America, was closed to future colonization, and that any attempt to interfere in the affairs of sovereign nations in the Americas would be viewed as a hostile act against the United States. Although initially a defensive declaration by a young nation lacking military power, it eventually evolved into a justification for U.S. dominance and intervention in Latin America. 1. Historical context. Why was it created? In the early 1820s, the geopolitical map of the Americas was changing rapidly. Latin American independence. Many Spanish and Portuguese colonies in Latin America, such as Mexico, Argentina, and Chile, had recently fought wars of independence and established themselves as free republics. European threat. The U.S. government feared that continental European powers, specifically the Holy Alliance of Russia, Prussia, and Austria, might help Spain reconquer these lost colonies. Russian expansion. Simultaneously, Tsar Alexander I of Russia was issuing decrees claiming territory along the Pacific coast of North America, modern-day Alaska and Oregon, threatening U.S. expansion to the Pacific. President James Monroe and his Secretary of State, John Quincy Adams, crafted the doctrine to protect U.S. interests and ensure that the New World would remain safe for Republican governments, distinct from the monarchies of the Old World. 2. 3 key pillars of the doctrine. President Monroe articulated these principles during his 7th annual message to Congress on December 2, 1823. Non-colonization. The American continents were henceforth not to be considered as subjects for future colonization by any European powers. The era of European land grabbing in the Americas was over. 2 spheres of influence. A clear political separation was drawn between the Americas and Europe. The U.S. would not interfere in the internal affairs or wars of European powers, and in return, Europe should not interfere in the Western Hemisphere. Non-intervention. The U.S. would recognize existing European colonies, like Canada or Cuba, but would not tolerate any attempt by European powers to oppress or control the destiny of the newly independent Latin American nations. 3. The silent enforcer. At the time of the declaration, the United States had a very small navy and little power to enforce these warnings. The doctrine was actually upheld largely by the British Royal Navy. Britain also wanted to trade freely with the new Latin American republics, and did not want Spain or France to restore monopolies there. Therefore, their interests aligned with the U.S., and their naval dominance prevented other European powers from challenging the doctrine for decades. 4. Evolution. The Roosevelt corollary. For most of the 19th century, the doctrine was passive. It was about keeping Europe out. However, in 1904, President Theodore Roosevelt dramatically altered its meaning with the Roosevelt corollary. The shift, Roosevelt argued that if Latin American nations engaged in chronic wrongdoing, such as failing to pay debts to Europe, it might invite European intervention. The result, to prevent this, Roosevelt declared the U.S. would act as an international police power in the region. Impact. This transformed the doctrine from a defensive shield into an aggressive sword. It was used to justify U.S. military interventions in the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Cuba throughout the 20th century to protect U.S. economic interests. 5. Modern significance. The legacy of the Monroe Doctrine is mixed. In the U.S., it is often viewed as a declaration of American autonomy and a protective measure that allowed democracy to flourish in the hemisphere. In Latin America, it is frequently resented as a tool of imperialism that violated the sovereignty of Latin American nations. Cold War and beyond. The doctrine was invoked during the Cold War to stop the spread of Soviet communism in the Americas, e.g., the Cuban Missile Crisis. Even today, the term is occasionally referenced by policymakers when discussing foreign influence, such as China or Russia, in the Western Hemisphere.
Basically, the Eastern Hemisphere is not supposed to be able to control anything over here. And China and Russia is set up pretty good in South America. And I suspect that Donald Trump is going to change all of that, which should lower the cost to everything. If you lower the gas prices, you lower everything across the board because it costs less to ship. Shipping is the key ingredient to everything that is in your house. It comes in on planes, trains, trucks, and everything. You know what I'm saying? Without trucks, without diesel, without crude oil, if it's too high, the cost of everything raises. So this is a move that is going to put the power back in the hands of the people.
Venezuela is a game changer for President Trump. This is the comeback now, started by this bold boss move, going in there, taking out this drug dealer, taking out his wife, no holds barred. Now, look, a lot of people shying away from saying this is about oil. They want to say, well, he was brought to justice. Look, that's part of it. We got to stop the drugs flowing into the United States. This is America first at its core. We're protecting our kids. We're getting rid of this drug trade. We're getting rid of these gangs. He's shipping all these people from Venezuela, Trinidad, etc. All these criminals, that's gone. That's over. Venezuela was also a surrogate for China, for Russia, for Cuba. All that's over now. But it's also about oil. Look, those are all oil companies that are down there. Chavez and Maduro nationalized the oil fields. They took the oil away. This oil is going to start to pump. It's going to be pumping to the United States. It's going to bring oil down to under $50 a barrel. Gas is going to be $1.50, $1.40, right? This is affordability. This is the essence of America first. I'll tell you why else I love this move. Because whenever the fake news media propaganda complex combines forces with what I'm going to call the phony MAGA clickbait crew, whenever they combine the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Tucker Carlsons, the Megyn Kellys, whatever it is, whenever they all combine forces, you know that Trump did the exact right thing if they're against it, right? Because these clickbaiters, this is their business model, is to sow dissension within the movement. That's how they make money. As simple as that. This is going to be the greatest economy in the next 9 months. This is why I think now, if Trump continues these bold moves, we got an opportunity to turn the corner and actually win this thing and hold the midterms and save the country, because we're hanging by a thread. Because what you're seeing now is when these tax cuts hit, we're going to have the biggest refunds in the history of the republic. We're going to have the biggest tax deductions ever. All of this is going to start to hit. GDP is up. The economy is going to start to boom. The cost of living is going to come down with gas and everything else. This is the biggest moment in the Trump administration in the first term, except for the one big beautiful bill. Because what it shows is this president is decisive. He's going to protect Americans. Why is this America first? You got 3 things going on. Number one, it's affordability. It's going to bring prices down on energy for average working Americans. Number 2, it's going to keep America safe. We're going to get rid of these gangs, and we're also going to get rid of these drugs pouring in and killing our kids. Number 3, this is about U.S. sovereignty. This is about protecting our interest in the Western Hemisphere. This isn't Iraq. This isn't the Middle East. This is our backyard. This is why I think this is one of the boldest moves that President Trump could have possibly made. Now, you can follow me on social media at JF Radio Show. Share this with your friends. This is a
Okay, so that's it in a nutshell, man. That's mostly, why people saying, oh, he trying to steal the oil. The oil is rightfully ours anyway. You know what I'm saying? China, why is it that China and Russia send oil all the way across that water, and we got to go all the way to Iran or wherever we get the oil from on that and ship it all the way back over here? Now, we got a direct path from Venezuela to the Americas. You know what I'm saying? So that is a game changer. Also, right, there's been mixed the fake news want us to believe that the people are mad about this, man. Take a listen at this guy right here.
We Venezuelans are very happy that Maduro has been captured because he has provoked the most important humanitarian catastrophe in the history of Latin America. And he's a dictator who violates human rights. On the other hand, when Trump says that he's going to run the transition, well, there's no other alternative, either if we like it or not, because the cartel of the Suns, which is the most important cartel, drug cartel in the Western Hemisphere, is running my country, Venezuela. And Nicolás Maduro is just ahead of it. But the whole cartel is still in charge of the regime in Venezuela, and it's going to be very difficult to defeat them. So we will need, again, either if we like it or not, the help of the United States and its military forces in order to defeat this cartel.
So I mean, just to clarify, though, despite the fact a lot of people are saying he's broken international law by moving into a sovereign state and removing their leader, even though, you know, widely accepted to be an illegitimate leader, you welcome that. You welcome the fact that he's taken the initiative here. It's just what happens next you're concerned about.
Well, as I said before, there was no other alternative. We Venezuelans, and especially in the opposition, we tried every way to obtain a transition. Negotiations, elections, which Maduro, of course, stole in the 2024 elections. We tried everything, and it was impossible. Why? Because it's a drug cartel running a sovereign country. So after everything was attempted in order to recover democracy, the only way out was to use the force. And Donald Trump did not overthrow a leader of a country. He just captured the head of a drug cartel, which is responsible for distributing 20% of the cocaine that is consumed in the Western Hemisphere.
So you need to check that, man. Okay. Responsible for 20% of the cocaine, man. Right? This man just told y'all, this man ain't even really the president. Again, like I said earlier in the video, they shut down, right? They shut down firearms rights. Okay. So them people, I don't know if y'all can remember a couple years ago or whenever that election was, they were standing in the streets throwing rocks and doing this and doing that. Get what? Maduro shut that down. Shut them down. Go home or get locked up. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't even been hearing anything about what's going on down there, man. That man just was sending all these drugs out. Y'all seen all of the boats getting shot down, you know, trying to come overseas with their work, man. This man was a drug dealer, a dictating drug dealer that was over the cartels, so the cartels kept him in power. He wasn't even really the legitimate president. And I suspect that the vice president, the female vice president that he elected over there, that she was sworn in and everything, I suspect her days are probably number 2, because if he's illegitimate, then guess what? He appointed her. Therefore, she's illegitimate. So, like Trump said, they are running the country. And if she don't cooperate, I suspect her days are very, very much numbered, and she's going to be on the shortest of leashes if she don't cooperate with the United States.
Once again, the Democrats continue to show the world how big of a hypocrite they are. Now they mad at Donald Trump claiming that he bypassed congressional authority, saying that he violated the Constitution when he invaded Venezuela. But these same folks bitch about Trump. They praise Barack Hussein Obama when he used France and NATO to illegally invade Libya, destabilize Libya, turn it into a failed state for the next 15 years and unalive Gaddafi. In the case of Donald Trump, they didn't even unalive Maduro. They just captured him, brought him to the United States, and then prosecuted him. Barack Hussein Obama's administration unalive Gaddafi. Y'all didn't have shit to say. Barack Hussein Obama bypassed congressional authority. What did he say? He said these are limited hostilities. Therefore, the War Powers Clause doesn't need to be triggered. The same reasoning that Donald Trump gave Congress. So now y'all mad at Trump, but one mad at Obama. I ain't trying to hear that shit. I keep trying to tell y'all these Democrats are some of the most hypocritical people on this planet. Then Hillary Rodham Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama, the following year after they destroyed Libya, what happened? Y'all don't remember this, I guess. 9/11 Part 2, aka Benghazi. Because of their incompetence, we lost 4 innocent Americans after an embassy was attacked by terrorist groups out in Libya as revenge for them unaliving Gaddafi. 9/11 Part 2, yes, it happened. But you know what's so funny? When it came time to re-elect Barack Hussein Obama, them same Democrats went out there and put him in office a second time after he violated the Constitution. You know what happened when Hillary Rodham Clinton ran for president? More people voted for Hillary Clinton than they did for Donald Trump. So I ain't trying to hear no shit about these Democrats. If y'all mad that we voted for Trump, then you need to be mad at yourself because your president did the same exact thing.
That's a big problem, man. Some of y'all just plain out forgot, but you know what? Most of us did not forget because most of us showed up in that 2024 election. People, I tell y'all all the time, do the research. The research is out there. Do some history lessons. Do some history lessons on this Democratic Party, man. If y'all always running to do what it takes to try to stay in bondage. The Democrats don't do nothing but try to keep you in bondage, play on your emotions, tell you this and that and the third. And guess what, man? Listen, man, most of us, like myself and that brother right there, we understood, hey, I voted against Trump in 2020. I voted against Trump in 2016. Guess what, man? Sometimes you got to rewrite your wrong. Sometimes you got to admit defeat. That's okay. Sometimes you got to say, hey, you know what? I didn't think that through. Let me do some research and try this again. And the good thing is I got a chance to vote for Trump the third time around. Listen, man, the way y'all was talking last year, 6 months into the administration, black people were supposed to be in slavery by now. You know what I'm saying? Did we forget?
I believe for the rest of my life, I'll be doing the Lord's work. I'm going to make sure no black person is a Democrat ever again. I hope you got enough common sense and critical thinking to understand what's going on right now. I'm about to give you all the facts. Every day I think I'm going to come on here and tell you what these clowns have done to you. Can you just notice that they never got a solution for you and they always calling you a victim? That's number one. You always need Medicaid. You always need food stamps. You always need government assistance. Why? Why you can't need a job? Why you can't need an education? Why you can't need a better job? Why you can't need a house? Why you can't need a better car? Why you can't need better things than motherfucking government assistance? Lyndon Johnson said he gonna have these niggas voting for Democrats for the next 200 years because that's how goofy you is. They filibustered the Civil Rights Act. It was the last record they had in Congress. They took men out of your homes. They would rather than be homosexual than to be a man in a home raising a family. Do y'all not see this? They claim to be Christians but do everything against God. Are y'all Christians? I do not understand what's happening. Do you believe God's word or do you make it fit to your lifestyle? I do not understand what's going on. Was the dashikis not enough? When they walk their ass out there with dashikis on and your ass you ain't never been to Africa. But they thought the dashiki was unity for you. They play in your damn face. They play in your face, and you let them do it. You let them work up your emotions. You let them build fear. What happened to us being slaves now? We supposed to be slaves 6 months into the Trump presidency and all locked up in concentration camps. These niggas is it.
Russia talks big, but the U.S. just did what Moscow never had the guts to do. 1 hour. That's all it took for Delta Force to capture Maduro and secure the world's largest oil reserves for America. Venezuela has more oil than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, more than anyone. 300 billion barrels, and now it's under U.S. control. Russia spent years propping up Maduro, sending weapons and advisors. But when it was time to act, they froze. The U.S. didn't hesitate. So what does this mean for Americans? Gas prices could drop significantly. Venezuela's oil has been locked away for years. Now it flows again. More supply means cheaper gas at the pump. Energy independence. The U.S. just became the undisputed energy superpower. No more worrying about Middle East drama or Russian supply games. And cheaper energy means cheaper everything. Transportation, manufacturing, groceries, more money back in your pocket. But here's what really stings for Russia. They couldn't protect their own ally. Venezuela was armed with Russian weapons. Russian trainers were on the ground. Moscow had billions invested. The U.S. walked in and took it all anyway. Russia talks about being a superpower, but when the U.S. moves, Russia just watches. This wasn't just about removing Maduro. This was about America taking control of the world's energy future while Russia stands on the sidelines.
Woo! Boy, y'all better stop playing with my president, man. Stop playing with him. Stop playing with him, okay? Listen, man, y'all, wherever you at, whether you paying $3, $4, $5, in California, $5 worth of gas, when them prices come down for the rest of us, man, y'all just keep paying the regular price, man, since y'all got so many complaints. Y'all don't seem to realize and understand, man, that the entire system is going against this dude. Why? Because they want to keep the power in their hands. Hey, man, I appreciate y'all tapping in, man. Like, comment, subscribe, man, and keep watching the videos, man. I'm trying to get this education. I'm trying to educate the people so you can make a better informed decision. But hey, stop letting the fake news play with y'all, man, and play in y'all face, man. Do some research. That's all you got to do. A lot of people be getting at me, getting in the comments and stuff like that, and don't have not an inkling about what they talking about, man. Go do some research and then come back and talk.
Thank you for tuning into XCon Media. Go right ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hurry up!